Hi, my name is Debra R. Richardson of Debra R. Richardson LLC, and I work with you to help you clean up your vendor data, clean up your vendor processes so that you can pay the right vendor. Now, this week's vendor master file tip of the week is IRS TIN Mismatch. Three name tips that may turn it into a match. So, just to do a bit of background here, I'm sure you guys know this already, but the IRS 10 match, you are really matching the legal name plus the tax ID, which could be the EIN, the SSN, or the I-10, that combination to make sure that the legal name and tax ID that your vendor gave you on, hopefully on the W-9, is valid and that it matches IRS 10 records. And you want to do that to make sure that, especially for reportable vendors, to make sure that if you have to file, then you won't be receive a notification notifying you from the IRS that that legal name and tax ID combination didn't match because now you've got to go through a whole process to reach out to the vendor and collect the W-9, but also you want to make sure your vendor is real. And believe you me, I have been there. I know what it's like to accept W-9s from points of contact at the vendor's place of business, but they don't really know how the vendor is registered with the IRS. They know what the invoice looks like, but they don't really know what that legal name and tax ID combination may be. And sometimes they really don't know how that legal name, what that legal name is, what it's registered with. Now, sometimes they can think that the DBA that's on the invoice is the legal name, and you find that because it's not a mismatch. But sometimes they don't know how the legal name is, I guess, spelled out with the IRS. And the IRS does give instructions to the vendor in three separate scenarios that might help you, even if your point of contact at the vendor doesn't know. So let's take a look at this. So this is the IRS instructions to the vendor, and this is related to those that have an EIN, and these instructions are based or from the page where the IRS is talking about the vendor going through that SS4 form in order to request an EIN. And so the vendor has questions about, well, what if my legal name contains this? Because the IRS TIN match only accepts the ampersand and the hyphen as special characters. So what happens in other scenarios? So the IRS instructions to the vendors are if there is a symbol or a character such as a plus symbol, an at symbol, or a period, they're saying spell out the symbol, drop the symbol and leave a space. So if the legal name of your business is Jones.com, they input it as Jones.com or Jones.com. So your point of contact may not know that, and your vendor name on line one may be Jones dot, like the period, special character dot com. And so when you enter it though, like that, it is not going to accept it. It's going to be a mismatch or it's going to be a mismatch. And so you are going to, according to these rules, try Jones dot com, right? .com spelled out, or Jones com. All right, the next one is if they have a forward slash or backward slash. Can't have that in the IRS 10 match, and so they can't have that in the vendor's legal name. And the IRS suggests that they substitute a hyphen. And so if you see that forward slash or backslash in the legal name on the W-9, substitute it with a hyphen. The next one is if they have an apostrophe in the vendor's legal name. And the IRS instructions here are just to drop the apostrophe and do not leave a space. But again, your vendor's point of contact may have the apostrophe in there. And so you can't do the tin match or it's a tin mismatch. And so drop the apostrophe and run it again. All right, we all know, right? We have to have those magic wands when we're in accounts payable, accepting these vendors' W-9s or on the vendor team, or maybe even the purchasing team accepting the vendors' W-9s. And so, sorry about the notification. And so, this is more tools or in your toolbox or on your magic wand that you can use to uh, have your IRS TIN match be successful without having to go back to the vendor's point of contact that really doesn't know anyway. All right, so I will have a link to the page that I got this from in case you want to do some more research. And then if you really want to have some more training for yourself or maybe your team, I will also put a link to my essential training uh, IRS W-9 examples by tax classification. I really talk about it from the practitioner's perspective, what to look for when accepting it from your vendor, because we all know that they do not all know how to fill out that W-9. But the key is that sometimes the vendor team, whomever is accepting it, doesn't know what to look for. And so that's what we talk about. All right, so if you would like more information on how to improve your vendor process, please go to my website at deborarrichardson.com for free tools and resources to avoid fraud, regulatory fines, and bad vendor data. Now, if you would like over 149 annual hours of training for you or your vendor team, check out the Vendor Process Training Center at training.deborarrichardson.com. So good luck and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified next Tuesday for the next Vendor Master File tip of the week.